Hey guys, let's talk a little bit about self-service, and I want to bring up potentially a new term for you, silver service. Now here's the problem. IT is typically going to be asked, can you implement a BI system? We want self-service capabilities. And then being technical, what happens is IT tends to go and say, okay, you want full Platter, be able to do everything. But the problem is, are your users going to go and learn how to connect to databases, how to write queries? There's a lot of domain knowledge here. And the reality is, what your users really need is what we would call silver service. You serve up some self-service capabilities on a silver platter. That's kind of where the term comes from. So what I want to do today is explore some different options for self-service and to give you potentially some alternatives rather than just opening up the floodgates for everybody to do everything. I'm Jeff, and this is Off the Charts with Jeff. So over the years, when I've talked to my clients and somebody's brought up the term self-service, that's one of those terms that immediately does raise alarm bells, because I don't really know what they mean by that. Because here's the thing, you have a dashboard, and that dashboard may have the ability to change chart types. Is that self-service? Are you looking for what I mentioned earlier, where you have direct database access with 10,000 tables, and I can do my own joins and add my own formulas and perform my own scripts on that data, right? That may be a form of self-service too. So implementing the right one and the right balance is really important. Now, most of the time when a business user looks for a platform like this, they say, I want to be able to do this myself. But unfortunately, what happens a lot of time is they do underestimate just what's required and how much domain knowledge is required to build a system like this. It's really easy to look at a dashboard and go, okay, yeah, a couple of charts, what's the big deal? But just to get that data can be a big deal. And it has nothing to do with the BI system. It's all that other domain knowledge that comes along with just understanding databases and the cleanup and everything required in order to get that data even before it's ready to start getting into a dashboard. So understanding the right form of self-service and implementing what's important to your users, that's a key to success. So why don't we give you some examples of some actual dashboards and some different forms of self-service that you might want to consider rather than just trying to open those floodgates. So here's a dashboard. I have a ton of control here in terms of what I can do as a business user, a form of self-service. I can come in and I can choose the products that I want to see. I can pick specific customers, or maybe I need to know who purchased our products in the Northeast. I may want to sort and filter by spend or by various categories or how much we discounted. I may want to see only for a specific day. So I can come in here and give the user access to this dashboard to let them make their own decisions without opening up everything to them. So this is what I would consider kind of the most basic form of self-service. Another example would be something like this, where we actually give the user the ability to choose what they want to see on the dashboard. So I can come in and maybe have a developer up front build the content that I want to be provided and what I want to be able to see, but I can choose how this dashboard gets structured and I can save it. Right? This is great because you might not necessarily have the technical capabilities to go and get this data. It's a little bit unfair to ask a business user to go and learn SQL Server in terms so that they can create their own queries to get the data that they need to see. You need to serve this up on a silver platter so that it's easy for users to just come in and see what they need. Here's yet another example of self-service. In this case, the user is able to come in and actually get some access directly to the data so that they can quickly decide what they want to see. So you can see that I have revenue in here. Maybe I need to see what that looks like by continent. And from there, maybe I need to see a year-to-year breakdown. So we take year and we add it to columns. So I can see each continent's revenue. From there, maybe I want to see this as a specific type of chart. Maybe I'm more interested in the raw data than an actual visualization. Or maybe I need to add a formula or something like this. So an example here is much further along the line in terms of giving users full access to the data. But I would still argue that this isn't true self-service. This is what we would call silver service. A developer's gone ahead And if you look at the data here on the right, you can see that they've kind of prepared it for me. I didn't have to get into a database and try to figure out where all this came from. I didn't have to join together different data sources. So again, even though I'm being provided a form of self-service, it's being served up to me on a silver platter so that I don't have to do everything up front. If you're in a position of being a technical person and your boss has said, hey, I want self-service dashboards, you really need to figure out where on that gradient your users actually need to be. Because the reality is, most users only need that very first example that I showed you. Give me a simple dashboard with enough filtering and drill down capability that they can perform their own self-service without being given access to an entire system, with all that domain knowledge required in order to do something useful. If your users are a little bit more technical, then towards the last example that I showed you may be a better way of serving it out. As soon as someone says you need to implement self-service, you should be questioning them. Figure out what they actually mean by that, and figure out what level of silver service they actually need, and do some research. Actually, take a look at some of the Gartner statistics. You'll see that self-service is one of the, I would say, worst implemented forms of business intelligence, and the biggest reason is that communication gap. So don't fall into this trap. Make sure that if someone says, I want self-service, figure out what that actually means, because it can mean a lot of different things. Now, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about some of the self-service capabilities, why not take a look at one of our demos? You can sign up using the link below, and we'll take you through a full example and show you everything you could possibly want to know about self or silver service. So it's definitely worth taking a peek. Thanks for watching, and if there's anything else you'd like to learn about or you'd like to reach out to us, we'd love to hear from you. Ask Jeff at Dundas.com.